Yo, just real quick pod. What's up, Curb? Our boy Justin's in the house.
Justin Martinez, what's up?
He was like, what do I say? Now, hey guys, man, we got a treat for y'all today. Hey, if you're wondering about the title for today, we called it The Dirty Truth. Ooh. Yes, sir. Curb, how's your week been going, bro?
Man, it's been good.
Yeah?
It's been good. Allergies kicking my butt, man. But you know what? I'm staying in there. I'm sticking in there, bro. It's actually been a great week. I can't even lie, man. Like, what's this? It's Wednesday now.
Wednesday.
Yeah, man, it's been pretty good up until today.
3 days going great.
Yeah. Same.
Man. How's your week been going?
Same. Dirty.
Yeah?
It's windy.
Yeah,
outside.
it's windy. Hey, if you don't know anything about West Texas, especially the Lubbock area, we don't have no trees over here. So if you're from a place where there's a bunch of beautiful trees and you don't really like it, come to Lubbock when it's really windy, get slapped in the face with a dirt cloud a haboob, and let us know.
We got surrounding areas that are called Plainview, Brownfield.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's the name of the land around here.
Yeah.
Like it
It's
says something.
Flat,
baby. Yeah.
dirt everywhere. If you've never seen a tumbleweed, come down to Lubbock.
Yeah.
The dirty
windy,
coast.
and just
Or the
drive.
dirt coast.
Right, and you're gonna see a tumbleweed.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend down here from when I was in college. She was from Pittsburgh, and we're driving and it's windy, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" And I was like, "That's a tumbleweed."
Yeah.
She was like, "What is it?" And I was like, "It's a dried up weed.
Tumbling.
It just
Yeah.
it broke off of its thing, and
Just
the
tell
wind,
them
the wind takes it."
It's a cowboy soccer ball right there. You know what I'm saying?
And she was just kind of like, "Can it damage your car?" I was like, "It actually can."
Yeah.
If you don't know that, man, I seen a car hit one, yow, and it broke the headlight.
Dang.
It really
It
did.
depends on what that route is, right?
I'm telling you, bro. It was ginormous.
Hey, man.
I'm glad y'all's week's been going good, fellas.
Yeah,
even though it's been dirty outside and winds blowing, allergies, you know. But one of the things that we want to highlight is the reason we called it The Dirty Truth. I'll just kind of start it off. A couple weeks back, we were at Curb's house. We were just kicking it. And there was some music playing in the background, and then this question came up to me that I wanted to ask the younger generation.
Right.
So our pastor's daughter was there, Galena was there, and then Adri was there, right? Galena's 14, Adri just turned 12. And I asked them a question. I said, "Hey," I said, "I want to ask a question just to get y'all's feedback." I go, if somebody that you trusted in the faith, an older person, came up to you and said, "Hey, I don't really think that song that you're listening to is a good look," what would your response be? And Galena was, straight up, PK, bro. You know what? I think that we don't acknowledge that it's influential. Sometimes we think that it's just music, but then sometimes there's like a beat, and I'm like flowing with it, like, man, I like the beat. And I started listening to the song, the lyrics, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to partner with what they're saying, so I'll choose not to listen to the song, right?
Okay.
And so Lil Adri was like, yeah, there's some good music out there, and I'm listening to this, listening to that, and sometimes I know why people don't want us to listen to these things, because like these people are really sad, and these people are going through this, and these people are whatever, but I don't feel that way, so the music doesn't impact me the way that it does. But I understand what people are saying. And it brought up this really interesting idea about how often we don't really think about the impact that music and culture and movies and news and all these things have on our lives. And so, I think about it from that standpoint. Well, I didn't know that either before I started walking with the Lord. Right. Before I remember listening to the song, and I'm just going to go out there with it, man. We're like, my club days, my college club days, we're sitting in there, man, we're singing these Lil Wayne songs, and then later on I go back and I listen to the song, and I'm just kind of like, after I'm walking with the Lord, I'm like, did he just say I love gonorrhea? And they're just like, yeah. And I go, that's a song that we were all joking and dancing to and joking around? And they were like, yep. And then another songs come on.
Hey, 3 6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony, bro. I go back and listen, I'm like, dang.
Yeah. And that's the whole point, though, right? Yeah. Is that when it's normalized to you, and when you're involved in that circle of people, and this is what we do together, this is the things that are going on, it isn't a shock to you until your circle has changed, your environments have changed, your thought process has changed, your desires are shifting because of faith.
Until the scales are off.
And another thing too is it becomes more heavy, that weight, when you have kids of your own.
Yeah.
And the influence, because now the influence has a higher cost.
Yeah.
Because for one, at one point it was you and your life and your direction and your influence, but once you have kids, it's different, because like that's your joy, that's your life, that becomes what your life is about, you know, and protecting that child and raising them and teaching them and guiding them, and so music and this culture and things like that becomes your number one enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, it is specifically, you know, especially coming from music in my background. When I was 12 years old, when I first decided to do music, and it was because we moved from Austin to Lubbock, and the people in the neighborhood we lived in, they respected my mom too much to let us in on the dope game. Yeah. So I was like, well, who else makes money? Because we're poor, and I'm 12 and I can't work. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in a new city. So I started rapping, you know what I'm saying? And so being that close to music from that young, and for those reasons, at this point now, like I completely see the warfare that's there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good word, bro.
Right? Yeah.
That's a good word.
Well, hey, and so based on what you're talking about right there, right? Sometimes we start out in a way that we intend to stay in a certain character, right? And I bring this up for a reason. Y'all remember when Lil Wayne first came out? He didn't cuss.
Yeah, he didn't. He couldn't.
He couldn't cuss.
Mama said he couldn't cuss if he was gonna be part of a Cash Money shot. I had to sneeze.
But that's the whole point though, is they signed him. He's young. He's like 17 or something like that?
Oh, he was young.
He's younger, right?
He was like 12. He was a hot boy. He's a hot boy.
Sorry, man. No, you're fine. But the show. These details are important though. Right? And I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we start out in a certain way, right? And then as we get pulled in even deeper into those realms of people, right, into the culture, you're around this, you're being influenced by that, then those boundaries start to be shifted within you, right? And that's what I'm saying is, it's like I've seen an interview where he talks about I didn't cuss because I made these promises and all these different things, and it was like but then there's this part of him being around this influence for quite some time, that when he became an adult, when he was able to start making his own decisions, and now he could shift and change the way that he was doing things, like his music, his lyrics shifted. Yeah. Right? And here's what's really interesting. Don't get it twisted. He was still saying messages that we wouldn't agree with regarding Christianity. Right? Talking about the block is hot. We all know what these things mean. Yeah. Right? But the point being, though, is that like there's this shift in culture that culture can make in your life within you. When you don't hold to a standard that is above the culture, then you get shifted. And that's why that's the dirty truth. Because these underlying manipulative strategies are at work. Like you said, music is a direct opponent now. Because now you're trying to lead family. Now you're trying to lead children. Now you're trying to give them a standard that is above the standard of the culture that's out there and the music that's out there. And that's the point for us, is what do we know about the enemy, right? The enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy.
In a nutshell, bro.
And that is a straightforward thing. He's a liar, a murderer from the beginning. He's all these different things according to Scripture, right? And so these strategies, they don't just come and be like, yo, let me come follow me. Right? It's interesting because the Lord comes at you because he's truthful and he says, follow me. But the enemy will tell you, like, does it really mean to follow him? Do you really need to learn his ways? Do you really need to be submitted? Did he really say these things? Right? And I say that for this reason, is because oftentimes when we're looking at how we have dumbed down things, right? I love how you say it. Like, this is an enemy to my household. Right? Yeah. You're calling it what it is because the influences and the strategy is to deceive. Right. So that we don't know that this isn't what I think that it is. This is worse than what I think. This isn't as light as I think, right? Because you said the heaviness.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Man,
And so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's cool how we were. So we've been studying Corinthians, 1 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like in what are we in right now? 10, 11,
11, actually. 11 and 12.
And Pastor was, he kind of leads it, right? And he was just kind of describing how the culture was in Corinth, right?
Yeah.
How it was just a bunch. It was really diverse. There's different languages, different people. It was a port city,
Yeah.
right? Had all these things. And when he started describing it, he was talking about it, how it wouldn't seem so bad if they were doing this, right? Even though they had other gods. Right. It didn't seem so bad because it was kind of a mixing pot. Yeah. And when he described it, sounds like a lot like what? Sounds
like our culture today.
Yeah, like
exactly.
the culture
where
today.
we don't want to offend people. We want to include everybody. We want to do these different things.
Yeah.
And so there's this part of us that needs to understand, like, well, who do we represent?
Right.
Right. And what does that mean for my life?
Yeah.
And what are the requirements and things of that nature? And so, I want us to talk about that, man, because you've been on the pod before.
Yeah.
You gave us a testimony talking about music and coming out of certain backgrounds and different things of that nature. I know that you got some music that you're fixing to drop. I saw your Facebook post the other day.
Gonna drop this, bro? What's going on?
I can't wait.
We've got, it's about to. It's all about to open up. Praise God and thank you for His mercy and His grace in this situation. But like I said, for me personally, the vendetta, the mission is to go back into the field that I was on the opposite team for so long. You know, and so right now in this season. Shout out my wife, Cuss with a K, over at West Texas Barber Academy. I got to shout out my other half. She's really been with me on this journey, seeking the Lord for ourselves, for our marriage, for our children, for our home, and then also for our ministry. Yeah. So at this point, it's like we've been working really hard to get to the point where we can start. All right, like now it's front lines. Let's get out here. Let's do things. So. Even yesterday when I seen you and we kind of in passing was like, hey, get me back on the podcast. You're like, let's figure it out. And I'm like, well, tomorrow I'm busy. And then for me to get halfway to my job and they call and say, hey, turn around. Yeah. I'm like, man, all right, God, I'm going to let you keep opening doors like that. Yeah. That's how I know this is the season to move forward in this, So I definitely also wanted to start out just expressing my gratitude to you, to both of y'all. Thank y'all for letting me be here because I know it's y'all's podcast. I know it's what y'all have been doing for so long, but this is a big step for what God's doing for me right now. I want y'all to know that y'all are part of that.
Heck yeah, man.
And I know that God is like solidifying the foundation for what He's doing in Lubbock. Yeah. Just by bringing us together and others together, even just being in the shop yesterday and talking with you and Josh, I'm like, God's really doing something He's bringing the right people for this season together. Yeah. And it's taking a while to cultivate these relationships, and it's taking a while, but I just see them and I see the people around, and I just think, man, it's the right people, And I think that's important to say because when we talk about, this music industry and we talk about these things, we have to know that it's a conglomerate of people behind this. It's not, it's not just
like one artist.
And and at the end of the day, there's layers to it. Like, is it even the artist, or do the artists have a dream and then they get themselves in a situation where they're contractually obligated to move forward in such a way that's that's even against their own character? Like you said, one day you look up and you figure out. You look in the mirror and think, man, this ain't even who I was. This ain't even who I wanted to be.
This isn't who I set out to be.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Because I'll say this, like I've heard people and different videos and whatnot talking about like, man, that when that dude oh gosh, I forget his name, but he did that performance and he was dressed all in red with horns. Sam something.
Sam.
Oh, Sam Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole point, just to kind of go about what you're talking about, they're like, man, when he started out, he wasn't doing this kind of stuff.
Wasn't doing it.
Exactly.
Like there's been this progression toward this.
Right.
So is this really him, or is it the industry telling him this is what we want you to do?
Right. And,
right.
And who's telling the industry to do that?
Kind of on the same thing, but you see that Morgan Wallen on the SNL? Like, so Morgan Wallen on SNL this last week, he's the musical guest, right?
Yeah.
He comes on, they show him immediately as soon as it's over, dabbing up the main host and just walking off, post on Instagram, get me back to God's country. Like he's basically saying like there's some stuff going on here. I don't
weird.
want. Yeah, right. I don't want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the deception, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Deception, man. Just real quick. So you said me and my wife's ministry. Can you elaborate just a little bit on that real quick?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know,
like what would you if you were to describe it to somebody?
Yeah. So I think our ministry is our family.
Okay.
Right. And so we're each given tools. Right, you know, you think about a war. There's archers. There's people on the horses. There's people. I mean, that's the old medieval war. But even in today's war, there's sergeants. There's there's all different types of levels of people, and they all have different skills and stuff. And I think in our family, for me, my skill and my tool of warfare is media content creation. You know, like creativeness.
Yeah.
I think with her, it's kind of the same thing. She's a servant, you know. She's a mom. She's a nurturer, you know. So when I say our ministry is like just taking the natural gifts that we've given, we put them together and serve the Lord with them any which way we turn, you know.
Like
and so it's not necessarily like we have a ministry or that we do anything specific.
I got you. You mentioned it in the way we live our life, and the way we.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
And I do want to say that because I want to break like the mold of what so many people probably think it is to be like a Christian, because when you first become a Christian, you want to do all these things. You want to, be everywhere and do all these great things for God. And the truth of the matter is, wherever you go, you're going to do great things for God if you're doing them for God, right?
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, if it's at the dinner table, if it's making dinner,
that's
for
good,
the family, or whatever it is. So when I say, our ministry, it's like wherever God puts us.
Yeah.
And so so what we're doing right now is we're focusing on our lanes. For me, it's music, it's media, it's content creating. For her, it's, she's going to academy, barber academy. She's going to be a barber. She wants to serve people, and she'll be able to share her testimony, her heart on these things soon. But she wants to serve other families. She just want to serve, and that's how she wants to do it. And man, we just do a lot of things like that. But
man, I didn't mean to get too off topic, but I just wanted to clarify. But like you were saying, man, like whose kid is that, bro? That's what I always say. Whose kid is always my kid.
Is that little kid out there? Oh man,
that's my ministry
just
right
like
there.
You, bro. He looks just
I
like
read in the Bible. So God woke me up at 3:30 in the morning, man, and that's why I knew like this was all coming together. But one of the parts that I read in it as I was flipping through was when the kids are coming to Jesus and the disciples rebuked the kids, and then he was like, "Don't rebuke these kids, because the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these."
Yeah,
he's here for a reason, bro. Like, it's what it is, man. Because the kingdom of heaven belongs to Him, and to those who will be like Him.
Yes, sir. Yes,
just
sir.
be a child at heart. And that's the thing about music; it'll rob that innocence from you.
It does, man. We were talking about that just a little off camera, man. I was talking to him about the iPad, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, it's good for them to have it if they use it properly. But we've been catching them like on YouTube, regular YouTube. We do kids, bro. Kids is cool. Regular YouTube is not.
It's nuts, bro.
Because man, it's like the stuff it says, bro. Like the little things that the enemy drops in there. It's like, what are you talking about? Kids, if you love your parents, scale 1 to 10, go like, share, comment. And I'm like, what? Or if you don't want your parents to die, like some random weird stuff. I'm like, bro, like you can't watch
commercials,
that, bro. Yeah, the
commercials or give permission for you to think about something that you're not teaching within your home.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many different agendas, but kind of what you were saying is when we think about this is where's all this coming from? Because there's going to be things that people are contractually like they're tied to these things. Right. And it's funny because it's like some people might not understand the depth of that.
Right.
Some people be like, well, why don't you just quit? Why don't you? But there are people who cannot afford to walk away, even though that they're millionaires, because that record label or those executives walk away, break this contract, we'll sue you for everything and make you owe us. Right. And so there are people who find themselves in position, an awkward position where they're having to submit to where these to these demands that are being made.
Right.
But to get back to it, man, is just like knowing that there is a deeper agenda behind this.
Yeah.
Where are these things coming from?
Being able to identify them things too, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? That I think that's very, very key. It's very, very key as far as being a believer or a woke believer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The scales are off, right? Now we can see them.
Yeah.
There are times where I didn't see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Man, it's just a song, bro.
Think about it like this though too. Like they've shown videos where at a concert, like you see the screen flashing and literally Satan will pop up, right? And like literally the words Satan pop up, they flash, but it happens so quick that you don't really notice it until you slow it down.
Subliminal messages.
Yeah, and that's the whole point though, is that like why would that be posted or going in this screen back here? Because there's an agenda.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the important part for us, you know, because you know when we talk about music, you're making kingdom music,
Right. Yeah.
right? And so your goal and one of the desires that God has placed on your heart is to bring forth a message that's worth hearing,
Right.
one that glorifies God, one that speaks a truth that reestablishes the pattern of thinking that we're supposed to be in agreement with. But there's a lot of people out there who, and again, not bashing nobody, but the standard is being raised constantly by God. Mm-hmm. There is a standard that the Lord establishes in people's lives that when the scales fall off, now you're responsible for holding the standard.
Right.
And there's a lot of Christians out there that'll be like, oh, I love that artist. That thing that popped up across the screen that said Satan, that's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Like, okay, talk about all the people who are in this audience. Mm-hmm. Everybody who subliminally just took this message in, who are being instructed and influenced and given something that now they're starting to say, oh, that's not that big of a deal either.
Being
right?
desensitized.
Yeah, they're being desensitized to these things. And so talk about that, man, from that standpoint. Like, what has the Lord revealed to you about music, about industry?
Yeah.
About the call that he has for you in this moment, this mantle that he's placing in front of you?
Man, so like I said, I think, like I was saying about what kind of got me into music at a young age was kind of a hope for riches, right? Mm-hmm. And I look at it as a lottery ticket. So I look around and I see all the rappers, right? We know a lot of, we were rappers. We're people who were in the game, and you look at all these young rappers nowadays, and it's a lottery ticket. Just every time that they're posting a reel or making a song or going to the studio or whatever, it's just equivalent to them going to Stripes and getting a lottery ticket and scratching it. Because they're just trying to win. They're just trying to come up. Because if you look at it, if you take everything away, the people who are doing it at that level, they're broke, they're broken, it's poverty, it's pain, it's all different types of things that they're trying to escape, right? And then so on top of that, now it's like in order to be that, the higher, the chance to get a winning lottery ticket rises the more that you partake in a lifestyle of murder, of drugs, of these life-risking things. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no more. It ain't the days of the nappy roots or the the Fugees or whatever. Now it's like, bro, you got to spin on the block. You got to kill somebody. You got to sell some drugs. You got to go to California. You got to pimp some hoes. You got to do all this. You got to do something. And you got to actually physically hurt people now in order for that lottery ticket to be something that's gonna hit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now it's more. Now it's just so much more important to start going head to head with this and start to uncover the truth of the fact of the matter is, bro, you will make tons more money and have a better chance of making it out of your situation if you go get a 9 to 5. If you go to McDonald's and work overnight as a manager, you're gonna make probably way more than that drug dealer does, and you ain't gonna risk your life for going to prison or death or being jacked. Right now, I'm coming up with this theory. All right, let me entertain you a little bit. Okay, I'm calling it the avocado theory. Okay, the avocado tree theory. Yeah, an avocado tree will produce hundreds of avocados a year. Okay, they don't necessarily grow here. But what I'm saying is like, bro, if you would go to California, risk your life and your freedom for a pound of weed, ship it over here, go through all the mess of doing that, ship a couple of avocado trees from Puerto Rico, cultivate them, and sell you some avocados, bro. Have you ever seen the price of avocados? They're expensive.
Yeah.
Go make some bread.
Yeah.
People eat them. Everybody eats them. It's
love
legal.
avocados.
You know what I'm saying? And more than that, and I say that because that was the fruit and vegetable of question when I was having a conversation with my brother Luke. But everything, bro. I mean, potatoes, every kind of fruit and vegetable, bro. If we just planted that in our backyard, it's going off topic a little bit. But what I'm saying is like if we did something as simple as having our own gardens in our yards, everybody, right?
Yeah.
Our neighborhoods and stuff,
Yeah.
we start taking out a huge contributing factor to poverty, and that's food, that's eating, that's the basic necessity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can provide your own food, you'll be okay working a maybe not a minimum wage job these days, but it'll be easier to work just a regular 9 to 5 if you know you got all the food you need at home. And then you can utilize your money for other things. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're helping your neighbor do it, and your neighbor's helping their neighbor, and everybody's helping each other, you're taking out this big thing that more than the music industry has against us, but even just the food industry, you know, like just the industry of the system that we live in, like we're already almost destined to lose, and this is just one of the things we could do to win. So what I'm saying is like the risk that you take to make a quick dollar selling drugs or doing something, man, there's 100 things you can do. You could fly in some avocado trees, or you can start a t-shirt brand, or you can do a bunch of things, or just a lawn business. You can go get a haircut. Look, man, there's so many people in the world. Everybody needs a haircut. There's so many vehicles in Lubbock, Texas. Everybody needs a flat changed. There's so many houses. Everybody needs some internet. There's work to be done.
I don't want to switch out topics too much, but you said something real quick. You said everybody needs a flat change. That Miles roadside assistance. I was just on Facebook, right? And I'm looking, and he came up as a friend, somebody I might want to be interested in being friends. And so I started looking at it, and this dude's pretty awesome, man. Like this dude legit. Y'all did the shirts for him, or Josh did the shirts for him, didn't he?
I think he might have.
Right.
Yeah.
But like this dude just. Like if he happens to run by somebody and they have a flat, he fixes it for free.
Nice.
He don't take money.
Yeah.
But if they call him, well, he takes the money. Right.
Yeah.
But he's like, nah. If like he had a couple of stories posted on there, he's like, I didn't charge him anything because God put me in the debt.
Yeah.
Like, and he put us in each other's path so I could fix it. Yeah. And I just think like he gives glory, and he looks like he's pretty successful. He's doing good for himself, man.
That's another principle that the world doesn't teach, that I believe firmly in, and not even on no like prosperity gospel or nothing, but I feel like you can't outgive God.
Yeah.
Because when you truly trust in the creator of this earth to provide for you the way he says that he will, one, you come head to head with this truth, like he's provided for me. It may not be what I want, but now you got to make that distinguish that, is this what I want or what I need? And that's going to help you live more peacefully when you can get away from like not tying your identity or your worth to things that you want. You know what I'm saying? Because 99% of the time, bro, you can just, last year, end of last year, I let a truck go to the bank, and like probably a lot of people wouldn't say that these days on podcasts, because it's all about your credit, all about building you and being financially free and all this stuff. But you don't understand, like, God ain't checking our credit when we get there. Yeah. God ain't gonna say, hey, you got your truck taken up, bruh. Like you made. And not only that, the money that I saved from doing that, I've been able to create life-lasting memories with my children. And that was my biggest factor. And I was like, bro, if I let go of this and I save my little $500-$600 a month, I'll be able to do stuff with my kids. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to do.
And what did he do? God gave you what?
He gave me a work truck.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you on that. You know, kind of in the same sense, and just talking. And I think this is a great conversation to have. Man. Sure. Y'all chime in, let us know what's going on. Like I ain't seen nobody talking. Talk to us, man. But like so I didn't, I do door to door, right? And that's one thing I notice on my good days. I go and I pray before I go, right? And I'm guilty of it sometimes. I don't pray before I go, and that's my bad. I realize it though. When I do though, God just put me on the door. You need me to talk to him about you, and my days are successful. Them days, like it's like highly successful. Yes, you know what I'm saying. Like he'll put me on doors. I pray with folks. You know what I'm saying. And then the sales extra, like the sales just just the provision he's given, right?
Exactly.
But I think it's awesome in that sense, man, that when you do give it to him, man, because there's other days where I'm just really focused on, I got to get this, I got to meet this goal, and then I'm like.
And that usually comes from a place of like stress, which comes from, or maybe some fear, which comes from not trusting in God.
Yeah, hey, come on.
What I'm saying? So,
but that's it,
when we can be aware of that, then we start checking ourselves more often, which now we strive, we're batting a little better average every time we get to it,
You know what's amazing though is that like you think about it, you talked about how if you would just apply yourself in a different direction that something will shift, right?
Right.
The scripture in Proverbs, it tells us that God has given to all man the ability to create wealth, right? But you have to define what this wealth entails, because if your wealth is I feel wealthy because I'm helping people,
right?
Then you'll focus all of your energy toward that,
right?
And even whether you have all the cars and none of that stuff, right? You'll look at this concept and be like, man, I'm wealthy because I'm impacting people's lives, right? People will define wealth in so many different ways. The world's definition of wealth is money, cars, clothes, super huge bank account, this and that. And those things, they have value in the direction that you apply it, because we've heard all these stories, right? Where people are empty inside, they got everything that they need, and then boom, they do something to themselves, right? And it's like, man, like they had the cars, they had this, they had that. Everything. They were empty inside. The external things lose value when internal things, when there's this battle inside of you that nothing can bring satisfaction to, like that is a very horrible and dark place. We've heard artists who will talk about these things. I was going through these things and it put me in this really bad spot, right? Internally, right? And so one of the people that come to my mind immediately is Justin Bieber. Right? Justin Bieber was wilding out. The Biebs, right?
Never say never.
Never say never. But that's the point, though. He was wilding out, and people were like, why is he doing all these different things? And then he starts talking about it. I was broken inside. I was empty. And he sings songs about it. I was 16 years old, and I had a milli. I could have any girl that I wanted. I could do this. I could do that. But nobody knew me.
Ecclesiastes, bro.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, it's all vanity.
Yes, sir. But that's the whole point, though, is that, like, what does God say about these things? Right? If you'll focus and give all these things to God, let his standard make him the priority, then whatever you do as unto the Lord, that thing will prosper.
Amen.
Right? Because the Lord has these beautiful processes and these promises, right, in place, that when you start walking in agreement with God, the fruitfulness comes. Again, not a prosperity message, but the Lord is faithful to sustain his people,
the daily
to
bread.
bring them what they need and teach them how to get even more of these things. Because it's like this: if your wealth is, man, I love being generous. What does Proverbs say? That the generous will always have more than enough, right? More than enough for what? To fulfill the glorification of God's word. And so just like you're talking about, like, it doesn't matter what this is, starting a t-shirt business. Check this out, right? You talk about your wife being a barber here in the near future, because she's in college. She's in the barber school right now. Like, I walked into a shop to drop off some shirts the other day, and I looked at what they're charging, right, to do the haircut. And I was like, man, I'm in the wrong business.
Bro. They be taxing,
but that's the whole point, though, is seeing that there is another avenue. What you were talking about, bro. There is another avenue to go get this. It doesn't have to be this lottery ticket, this hurting people, this drug game. And a lot of times people will find themselves, because of culture and music and movies, they glorify these things. So people want, and this is what's crazy. You said something. People are trying to escape something. How many of us have seen the come up, right, from somebody who hit that lick, went viral or whatever? Where they at? Are they still where they were found? They're not. They have escaped. Right. And that's the interesting thing right here, is that the dirty truth is that they might still be singing about that stuff, but you ain't gonna find
exactly.
them. They ain't the drug game no more.
Bro.
They're not doing this. They're not taking advantage.
I made
of those
a post
people.
the other day, bro. It said, and I heard it probably from another. I heard it from somewhere else, but it said the first sellout is in the hood is the drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first sellout is. I mean, you think about it, bro. They're. And I think the next part of that was like, it wasn't. It's not okay to save yourself by killing my family.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like that's. It's not okay to do that. You know, and just to your point, like they end up getting out of there, and then they end up trapping younger and more easier fooled minds to be their puppets, and they get out of harm's way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
that's the hierarchy, bro, of the game. Yeah,
it's just time to face it, bro. It's just time to make. And the thing about it, the cultural thing about it is that they honor and praise and worship and lift these people up. The same neighborhoods and same families that they're killing and sacrificing for their position, the people are worshiping these people.
Yeah.
And it's time to be, the thing is, God will not be mocked. There will be no God. There will be no one worshiped other than the Lord.
Yeah.
So the time is coming. And this is the thing, like, at this point in life, for myself and for the world around us, if you really look at it, it's all coming to an end. You're going to pick one side or the other. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're on a winning team or the losing team.
So you said, so we talked briefly, right, today before, earlier today, you were talking about how my music's not going to be, tell me a little bit more what's your focus on your music going to be. Obviously, it's going to be, glorifying the kingdom.
Right.
But what in particular? Tell me what you told me, because I thought that was really interesting. That's cool.
I said, like, I want to come against the enemy of music. And I said, but I don't want to be the guy just talking crap either, just talking trash. But at the same time, it's going to seem like that because it's going to be, I mean, you know what war is? Mm-hmm. It's lick for lick. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be punchlines. It's going to be revelation. It's going to be truth. And the thing about it is, I already know it because I've been in these circles. I've been with people. They don't like it. Mm-hmm. There will be people saying this, that, or the third. You know what I'm saying about it? So.
Whenever you said that, I was like, I thought that was really interesting. So my wife and I both, like, we don't really listen to worldly music. We listen to a lot of Christian hip hop, Christian R&B. Yeah. Like in worship. Yeah. Like that's all you hear in my house. Mm-hmm. And there was a time where I'm like, I couldn't live like that. Like I thought that, man, I can't do that. Now, of course, scales are off. I'm like, oh no, I can't listen to that. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I even feel bad, like, when I'm listening to something, I'm like, man, this is jamming. And I'm like, I go,
you get chills, almost like
like kind of green, like cringe or whatever. But so we were talking about that, and kind of brought it to her, and she was she's coming to an agreement with it. Mm-hmm. But I said, and I talked to our pod, the one who runs the pods here, mm-hmm. and we want to do a little show because a lot of people don't know about Christian hip hop, Christian R&B, even worship music. And I said, well, let's do a music show. Yeah. Right, where we can glorify the things, because there are some Christian hip hop artists out there that ain't really Christian hip hop artists. Right. They're kind of wolf in sheep's clothes. How do you say it? Wolf in sheep's clothes. Right. Right. Yeah. Where they're kind of, they see, oh, this is a good avenue to make money. Right. I can spot them. I can spot them by the way they talk. Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what the Lord's told me about that, and He even told me that this morning too when I was reading. I was in like John. I was looking for something specific, but so I was kind of flipping through the Gospels. And I came across this. It said the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Hey, there's some people over there casting out demons in your name. We try to stop them because they're not rolling with us. They're not with us." And Jesus said, "Hey, look, if they're not against us, they're for us." Mm. And that's so hard to do, especially when it's like, that's my thing with a lot of the Christian content right now. It's all about calling people out. Calling out Christians. This Christian's fake. This Christian's that. This Christian's over here. Okay, there's gonna be enough of that. God got His hands full with that. We don't need you to do that. Why don't you go and do that to these demonic, demon-possessed people who are doing this to our children? Mm-hmm. But you'll go sit and spend your whole platform, energy, resources on exposing some other Christians because they're not maybe
we should pray for them, not expose them. Let's use somebody who, well, at least I know in our circles in this part of the country, man, Brian T.
Right.
I pray for that man. Right. Because I've been on that. I've been there before. Right.
Yeah.
But I pray for him because I have seen people be, like delivered and come to Christ because of his music. Even myself, like coming out of depression, listening to his stuff.
Yeah.
He made a mistake, bro. He's human, right? Did he repent for it, and is he going to change it? That's between him and God.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And in a way, I saw it. Carl Lentz. I was able to see him in a live pod with just back in September, and he said, "Man, God literally saved my life by exposing that I was cheating on my wife, because I was going to hell if I continue doing it." So so how much mercy did God give him by exposing him?
Hey, I never even seen it like that, bro. You just uncovered my eyes, because I've been praying on that, because my heart's been hard on that.
For real, bro.
So I'm literally got tears in my eyes right now, because you just gave me some truth, bro. That's real.
And that's what it is. Like he's saving my life. He's giving you an option to save your life.
That's
sometimes
love,
them
bro.
choices are the ones that we don't want to make, that are not the great choices, right? Something I talked to my little boy about. We talking about these erotic videos he's watching. I'm like, do you think God likes that? No, you understand it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
We talk about sin. You understand it's sin. What's sin? I don't know what sin. Sin is bad, right? What's the wages of sin? Like I read them Bible stories every morning.
It's a blessing, bro, because now you get to have that conversation.
Yeah. Before I didn't know.
There's a reason to have the conversation, and bro, it's like God tilling the dirt almost. He's flipping everything over. All the worms are coming out. The avocado tree's about to come out.
Come on.
Rocks, everything that would hinder growth is coming out.
It's coming out. Amen.
You know what's interesting, man? I'm say two things just briefly. When we think about these things, man, like exposure, right? The Bible tells us that you're like, most people don't know this. If you're a Christian that sits here and you're quoting who you joke around and say the prophet Tupac, only God can judge me, you are absolutely incorrect, right? Because from salvation toward eternity, God is the only one that determines that.
Right. Yep.
But in the book of Matthew, if you're not reading your Bible, you're going to miss this. It literally tells that the believer is supposed to call out their brothers and sisters, right? We're supposed to keep people accountable to the things of the kingdom. Right. So if you're saying you're not supposed to do that, like, you're wrong. So when you're talking about this exposing, it's going to be one for one, right? The truth, when you speak a truth, it exposes the lie. It's meant to. Why? Because the truth sets the person free, right? So I love hearing you say, like, man, it's going to be one for one. Because it made me think about, like, the one of the reasons that Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell is blowing up right now is because he's calling people to the kingdom in regards of, like, you hear this and this is what it's for, but you're using it for this, right? And so one of the things that's blowing him up is that people were recognizing how strong he'll say stuff and be like, I don't care. I don't care. This is the truth. I don't care. Right. And so there's that part about it, right? We are, as the kingdom disciples, are supposed to expose the lies, right? And we do it with truth.
I think, and just to kind of your point and your point, I think it's somebody who just consistently, that's the only thing they're focused in on, right?
And not even that, because, like, there's one thing to say this is the truth. It's another thing to say, here's a person and here's his lies and here's his faults and here's his and theirs and theirs and theirs. But if it's like, I'm on this platform, and like I said, like you asked, like, the content of the music is going to be the truth of the truth of, like, the consequences of these sins of selling drugs or murder or the things that these drugs are doing to our communities. That truth is going to open somebody's eyes and say, wait, I am partaking in this thing. But if I'm like,
tell the
this drug dealer on this street over here and this, you're wrong because it is. That's a waste of breath, bro. I'll change that drug dealer more by having lunch with him.
I like to,
you know what I'm saying?
I like to think that, you know who Blake Martin is? He's a social media personality. He got he got a ton of Facebook followers, TikTok, all this other stuff. But that's what he does. He just calls out people, bro. Calls out people. And the dude spits some real good stuff. But I'm always like, I would always call him out. I'm like, dude, are you tired at night by doing all this? Like, you know what I'm saying, just exposing people. Shouldn't you pray for them? And, it's kind of friendly conversation. And he finally said, you know what? I'm sorry. I've been doing this too much. Like, God told me, he went offline. Like, he's not on social media no more. He said, I'm going to take a break. I got to spend time with God because what people have been telling me, and it wasn't only me, it was other people too.
Yeah.
Like it's like I'm just pointing the finger at everybody, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm
It's
like,
so
and I prayed for him too. I'm like, Lord, just let him pray for him.
Yeah, there are so many people whose platforms are literally based on calling out these things.
Yeah. Exposed.
And the thing that I the issue I have with that though is that like the world, right, is looking at us and saying, oh, they're at war with each other. We didn't have to do nothing.
Exactly.
Like, why are we at war with each other?
Yeah.
Right? It's one thing from an accountability standpoint and love to think people into these areas of shifting and changing. But when you're sitting there, like you said, like, man, bashing, this is that. How much energy, bro? Like, you should have been doing something different with that, right? And the second point I was trying to make, though, is that this, right? When you look at like this glorification and this worship of these people, like people idolizing and things of that nature, they start walking in a form of discipleship. Yes. And that's what we don't realize is that there's discipleship taking place.
I'm so glad
God has ordained discipleship, period. He's the one who calls it. He did it to the degree that he left heaven to come to disciple man, to teach his ways, right? And that's what's happening, is that people will see something and they'll desire that and be like, you know what do I need to learn to achieve that? It's interesting because we think discipleship is only a kingdom principle. There are people who become disciples of people who are misleading people, right? And this is what's crazy. Get away from from like the drugs and all whatever. Go find that grimy person who is white collar, real business suit. Like, hey, how'd you make your millions? Oh man, bro, I get over on the stock market by implementing these things. Right. Oh, I want to have the bankruptcy money and this. Yeah. People who learn to manipulate systems and people, and you'll find somebody who is learning from them. Exactly. That person who is learning is a disciple. Because they're heading that direction. And so we have to acknowledge that discipleship is happening all over the world in so many different areas all the time, right? Because people have been misled to desire the wrong things, right? And so think about it from that standpoint is like, let's get discipleship back on track, right? How are we going to do it? We're going to do it by influencing music, influencing culture, calling out these things as they should be called out. I don't have a war. I don't have an issue against my brother. Right. I have an issue against the thing that is leading my brother astray. Exactly. Right. Amen. Because Galatians tells us that when those of us who are godly, who are spiritual, see a fallen brother or sister, we are supposed to restore them gently. Yeah. Right. If you're just sitting here punching somebody in the face with a word, bro, you set yourself as an enemy against them. Yeah. Right. So now you can't do ministry together. Yeah. Now you can't do life together. Yeah. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Right. And so I love hearing how you're saying like, hey man, I'm gonna call out the things that are true. Yeah. Right? I'm not gonna destroy the person. I'm gonna call them. It's that old proverb. We're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those thugs. No, but the truth of the matter is, we're not against the people. I'm not against the people. I'm against the message and I would even say like the unofficial gospel that's being preached on that side. You know what I'm saying? And it's got to be dismantled. And the thing about it is the Lord don't need me to do it, and I can't do it apart from Him. Yeah. But as long as every opportunity comes to give my swing of my sword, then I will. You know what I'm saying? And I think if a lot of these people remember that, they won't go into like the exposing ministry, especially like exposing other ministers, because it's like, bro, God don't need you to do His work. Yeah. He if He calls you to do, and the thing is, man, you got to have relationships with people, and God has a relationship with us, and it's His kindness that leads us to repentance. Yep. There you go. It's not His bombarding of differences. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I do want to say too is just to give some more of like where the passion comes from is, Zayn Up. Okay, Zayn Up. It's a crazy story. Zayn Up is another artist. He's a videographer, producer from here in Lubbock.
We're around the same age. We came up in the same like generation of music. And the same year that I give my life to Christ and I'm out in Austin doing my own thing, I'm not even on social media, he's as well as seeking a relationship with God. Well, here's the thing about that is he and I were like enemies to the point where it was like murder in our eyes for each other. Yeah. Like literally, like I can say that in my heart and in my mind, I already told myself if I had to, I was going to do whatever to survive when it comes to me and him. And he thought the same thing. I know it because we've had the conversation. So whenever, let's say a couple years pass and we finally reconnect in a place where we're both Christians and we're both brothers and we're sitting down in his house, and and you could imagine the things going through my head and probably the same things going through his head. And it was crazy to see what the Lord's done between two people who had so much hate for each other and so much murderous thoughts towards one another. And so even from that point, though, we still fell out again as Christian brothers. And earlier this week, I think we shot a music video for a song. It was the first song we've done together ever since we've done music. And it's a big step forward. It's a big testimony to what God has done in us, how he's changed us, and how he'll use things that are murderous and evil and angry and hateful for his glory by replacing those things with love and forgiveness and healing. And I want that experience in the neighborhoods where there might be one person on this street and one person on this street whose maybe uncles or brothers were killed by each other. Mm-hmm. And they have those murderous thoughts and desires towards each other because it's just a revolving door. One take one, I take one, you take it. But I want to show and see like God will change those things. There is hope in the work of the Lord, and we're living proof of that. You know what I'm saying? So I want to shout out my brother Zainab. I think the video that we shot a couple of days ago will be out on Friday. He's dropping an EP. I want to say we've both been on this journey for the same amount of time because when I really look at it.
I ain't talked to Zainab in a minute, man.
Man, he's, and again, like just seeing the Lord do what he's doing in him is just a testimony that God doesn't need me. Yeah. And I'm just, because at times you start to think like, well, I wouldn't do this way or I would do it that way or whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, man, God's going to do what he does. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's, you're going to be a part of it or not. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And excuse me. So, that's really it. That's what I wanted to say on that part.
Wait, man, we'll give us a link to the video when you get it, man. And you know what I'm saying? We can drop it in here, man. You know what I'm saying? Drop it in the comments or, even if not, because this will be up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool.
What did you changed your rap name, right?
Yes. Yeah. So let me go in on that a little bit, man. I've been praying about it. It's two things. I wanted to touch on one more thing. One, we're talking about, for me, part of my mission is like, I don't want to focus on the global or national or anything like that. God has appointed me to my local area. I'm gonna make music and content, but it's aimed here to the neighbors who I can have relationships with. Yeah. That's I even say that to y'all, even from a point of accountability. So from this point forward, if y'all ever see me doing too much and I ain't home, call me and tell me, hey, bro,
I'm gonna thump you in the ear, bro.
You need to be. There's things that need to be done here. There's missions here in our home that need to be taken care of. So I wanted to get that out the way, but also, so my name was Ezra Mills, right? Ezra comes from the Bible. He was a priest who rebuilt the temple, and he basically led his people by the thousands and stuff back to the Lord. And I wanted to have that same vibe, and that was a long time ago. And I backslid, went back to worldly music, but I just kept the same name. Now, as I've been like working towards this season of getting back out there, I've been like, God, I really want to change my name, and I feel like I need to, but what's going on? What do I need to change it to? And I've struggled with just my name, but like Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, those things. I'm like, man, I don't really know. Well, Martinez is my last name, and so I wanted to stay in that realm. But I was reading 1 Samuel a couple maybe last week, and just like many books in the Bible, it talks about the genealogy, right? Mm-hmm. It talks about genealogy. And as I was reading it, I was like, man, God, this family history is hard to understand. This family history is crazy. And then I just felt the Spirit was like, so is yours. But it's worthy enough to be written in this book. It's worthy enough to be remembered. It's worthy enough. There's an importance with taking who you truly are and not omitting that from your story. Mm-hmm. All the craziness of your family, the divorces, the hurt, the brokenness, the alcoholism, everything that comes with your name and who you are, there's a part of glory that belongs to, because it creates a contrast between what you are and who you are and where you're from to who God's created you to be. So I just really confirmed it for me. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna. So what I'm gonna be releasing all content under is just Martinez Media. So it'll be my music. It'll be probably some podcast stuff. It'll be, anything that I do. I'm just gonna create a lot of content. Sure. And I want to sit down with other people and other podcasts. I want to come back and hang out with y'all whenever y'all want me to. I just know that the Lord has released me to go forward on this and to take this mantle, like you said, and go this direction. So Martinez Media is what it's going to be. Cool. I'm going to take who I am and who I was created to be, and just show what God has done to it.
Amen, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Very, very nice. Very, very
I know
nice.
we rounding kind of toward the end, man.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Man, that's good. That's good stuff, man. It's good conversation. I like having conversation. You know what I'm saying? Just have another perspective in there, and just to be able to kind of bounce ideas and perspectives off of. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting, man. It's cool. So thank you, man. Thank you for joining us, man.
Appreciate you coming through
for
again,
real.
bro. Yeah. Man, well, hey guys, I hope that today was a blessing, man. Because as we wrap it up, we're not supposed to be comfortable Christians, right? Comfort brings stagnation. Mm-hmm. We're always supposed to be. Somebody asked. This is the reason I bring this up. Somebody told me the other day. They asked me. They were like, "Hey, man, like, what do you think it's gonna be like when we're older?" And I was like, "We still gonna be being challenged. The word is still gonna challenge us." I was like, "Man, I think about Billy Graham. He was 96 years old, sitting in his cabin in his little chair, and he's giving his last message to America, and he says, "I finally figured out why the cross is offensive." And he goes, it's offensive because it demands change. Amen. Right? And so I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, man, this man went on crusades, stadiums full of people, this and that. And late in his life, sitting there reminiscing about all his accomplishments and the things that he saw God do in his life and all these different things, he's like, man, I finally figured it out. Right? So at 96, he's releasing this message. I don't know how long before that he has this revelation. But it's just kind of like, man, you know what? Like, he's being used by God his whole life. And even at the ending stages of his life, he's like, oh, I learned something new. And so for us to think about it is, if you're seeking to just be comfortable, right? All that's going to happen is you're going to stop letting God challenge you, right? And so we're supposed to be people who hunger and thirst for the righteousness of God. And the righteousness of God leads us through our entire life to devote more and more and more of our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to. And so I hope that you were challenged today, because we're not supposed to be in this place where we don't let ourselves think differently. If you have been the type of person that's like, music's not that big of a deal, I hope today you heard something that was like, man, maybe I need to consider that. And that's what I want you to think about. Do we need to consider more than what we've thought? We should be challenged and changed our entire life. And so I hope that something was said today that made you consider, right? Have I been too rough toward that brother or sister? And should I partner with them? Right. Right. Yeah. What does God tell me about this? Right. Is my platform based on this, and what else does God want from it? Because I think a lot of times we'll set our own path and be like, well, God, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to say? Because, when you messaged us earlier today, I was like, yo, Kirb, Justin just hit me up. And he's like, yeah, he just hit me up too. And I was just kind of like, man, I was like, well, in my mind, I wanted to talk about this, but let's talk about that. Let's bring them on. because this makes me think about the conversation at the table, makes me think about this. And so I think to myself, like, are we those people who will be fluid enough to let God shift us and change us so that either way, he's receiving the glory? Because remember, guys, this is about him.
Yes, Lord.
Right? And so I pray that today you heard something that at least makes you consider, am I doing what God has asked me to do regarding this? Right? Because this could be all types of different things, whatever season you're in, and give that to God. Ask him what he wants to talk to you about regarding that thing, and watch it change. Watch it work. Watch it shift. Watch you grow. And so we hope that you were encouraged today. We're going to sign out the same way we do each and every time, though. Right?
Oh, okay.
We want you to know, hey, you know what? Before we do that, like, share, subscribe, follow.
Yes, Lord.
Everything. Right?
Everything.
Everything, guys. We got the YouTube.
We need it, man. Look, if you want to support this pod and support this ministry, you can do it just by like, sharing, following, subscribing. Amen. Because it puts us in the algorithm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But guys, we want you to know that Jesus loves you and that there is nothing that you can do about it. Until next time, guys, we say hallelujah, holla back.
Holla back.
God bless you guys.
Yes, Lord.